Welcome back, everybody. All right. That's not how it works, and you know it. Well, we have an elected.
That's what it's for.
We have an elected.
We're having our Second Amendment argument.
No,
you're
right,
and I'm wrong.
I'll tell you what.
He won't even take a "you're right, I'm wrong" to move on to the next segment.
I thought you were.
No, I'm just demonstrating how liberals think. They just want to argue and create chaos and problems, just like out in Oregon.
But the liberals didn't.
I'm clowning around.
I mean, the first one happened under. Anyway. So
we're going to talk about China.
They both happened under George Bush. Anyway. So shut up. No. Oh, so China is. Oh
screwed.
Man, we are in trouble.
Buddy.
And by we I mean the global financial community, because China has finally started to see the first hints of disaster that people have been predicting for the last 10 years or so, because wouldn't you know, they can't sustain 10% growth forever. $590 billion sell-off. Holy smokes.
Well, here is now, what'd you say the
$590 billion in assets lost.
Yeah, here you go. Here's the rest of the story. Just this year alone, because of the way the Chinese are operating their government, and this is the number one reason you don't want socialism. Because to have socialism, you have to have the federal government doing your economy. And what happens then, if you have the federal government doing your economy, they do it for reasons that are not economic, but rather to retain power. And that is what China does.
That's what statist governments do, not necessarily socialist governments.
Well, socialist governments are statist governments. That's what they turn into.
Not necessarily. There's a really interesting book that you should read.
Yeah. Well, I should set on fire, maybe. Anyway.
No, because it's a conservative that wrote it.
Really?
Yeah. It's the guy that wrote The End of Wall Street.
Oh.
That book is cool.
Here's the rest of the story.
The End of the State. I don't remember.
Here's the rest of the story about China. They have lost $5 trillion in value in the last year. They devalued the yuan. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
They devalued the yuan. They've done all kinds of crazy Ivan type of maneuvers in the economy that has absolutely wrecked it. And how they've been able to continue this giant economy flowing, two things. One, they have most favored nation status from Bill Clinton. So we send all of our jobs over there. We order all of our manufacturing stuff from China because it's cheaper. Number two, the housing bubble. They have built and built and built and built and built some more. Now, this is how I'm going to dovetail this into climate change. Talks in Paris aren't going to do any good. Everybody in the world could not stop driving cars and stop, seeing at night. And it wouldn't change a thing because the Chinese are putting more carbon into the air than the rest of the world combined. And in fact, I saw a statistic the other day that that the United States could operate at peak capacity, put out all carbon based on 1970 numbers for the next 100 years and not match the amount of carbon that's coming out of China in a year. Here's the reason why. In the last 3 years, China has produced more cement than the United States has ever produced since its inception. That cement, as anybody knows, is a high CO2, high carbon kind of thing. Anyway, back to the main point. Their economy has finally faltered. It's fallen below. They said it's at 7%. Virtually every economist that I read this weekend said that number is closer to 3% is what their growth is. And there's no way they can sustain it at 3%. It's just going to tank. The problem is if you watch the markets yesterday, China came and the Nikkei went down. That's Japan. China plummeted. They fell so far and so fast they had to shut down the stock market. India plummeted. Saudi Arabia plummeted. Russia plummeted. The European index plummeted. The one in London plummeted. And then when it finally got around to New York went, yeah, everybody else has plummeted and we're going to take our shot at it. But it didn't fall nearly as much as the rest of the world. And, today things are in chaos again. You have Ford tanking. You have Apple biting it. Yeah, how'd you like that pun?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the rest of the world, and what they're really doing is saying the last decade that China has done has been wiped out in less than a year. And with this, they're actually gone backwards into the 90s as far as their economy goes. What do you think of that?
I think that I don't think well, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad because we're not talking contagion yet. When we start talking contagion, then I mean the problem that China is seeing is the overheated economy. They're having problems cooling off on the economy. I don't think that you haven't started to see extreme inflation over there yet because of the devaluation of their currency, which is not necessarily a perfect fix, but it's definitely something to worry about, though.
It is. Well, and part of the thing is China is not sucking up a lot of oil. The Russians suffer. So the contagion actually started with them not purchasing as much oil.
The oil prices, I mean, you'd think the demand went down at the same time as the price dropped. It's going to be tough for a lot of people.
Well, part of the contagion is also Ford. The economy is starting to slow down. Ford and GM and Chrysler to a smaller extent, and Toyota rely on Chinese sales, and they have plummeted over the last year. The contagion is going to be suddenly they're dumping a ton of steel on the market. So whatever steel bubble is going on is going to drive down the prices of our stuff. They're also going to start dumping precious metals onto the market because they're really in trouble. And you're going to see the prices of those things go down. So people that produce them, such as Micron and Intel, are going to start having problems. That's how the contagion is going to spread. It's going to be just I saw the movie The Big Short. You got to go watch that. The one thing the movie leaves out is the government role in how the housing crisis started. But what they don't tell you is that crisis started with everybody trying to bet for oil, that it was going to go up. And when oil reversed itself, you had these companies that held these oil options, staggering. I mean, they were just barely holding it together. And then you add the housing bust up on top of it. The entire thing crumbled. That's what we're going to see. It's going to take probably 18 months to 2 years to see the full effect of this. But you can't take the world's #1 economy, kick it straight in the nards, and have everybody else go, woo. And on that visualization, we're going to call it a show. You playing anywhere this week?
I got a private party in Adel.
All right.
Yeah.
Can't beat Adel.
Nope. Love Adel.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back we'll be back next week.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.